Student flirting? Maybe? HR less than no help. Plus update. I am not op. This is a repost. Original post from our professors by you, Professor Eyes Off. Link to original post. https www.reddit.com/r/professors/comments/x7h5f7/student-flirting maybe less than a help/ UDM medium equals Android app and UDM source equals share. Hashtag student flirting. Maybe? HR less than no help. I'm a newish male professor at a community college and I could use some advice, reassurance. I'm leaving out most of the identifying details because I don't want this getting back to me. I teach a bi-weekly class where I spend my lectures at a computer running a visual presentation that complements my lecture. I have a female student that sits near the front and always wears short skirts. This is not an issue as we have no real dress code and I don't care what students wear so long as it is legal for public wear. The issue is that, since day one, she has been sitting with her legs spread in a manner that I can constantly see her underwear. Our positions make it so that I am the only person who can see this. It is a computer lab and the desks area arranged in facing rows, but sideways so that students can simply turn slightly to see me and the screen. This means that there isn't a table, desk to block my view. She has taken to sitting with a knee up and a foot on the chair, making things even more visible and making me think that this is intentional on her part. Not that I could prove it either way. The only way I've been able to counter this is to move the screen slightly to put it between myself and her. But if I walk away from the computer during my lecture, that doesn't help. I went to my department's HR representative and her advice to me was, don't look, in a tone that made me feel like it was entirely my fault. I feel like, if I say anything to her I will get in trouble. Should I do anything else at this point or just continue ignoring it? Edit. Thank you to everyone who gave advice. Even those whose only advice was to admonish me to just don't look, despite my stating that I'd already taken the measures of putting the computer screen between myself and her. I sent an email to the HR representative just to document the situation and that my plan is to do nothing. Ignore it. I explained the situation to my female colleague and she agreed that it was odd but that I should avoid speaking with the student about it for all kinds of reasons. She uses the same room and commented that she'd wondered who kept moving the screen to a less convenient position. I basically have it turned as if I need to look at the projector screen at the same time. The plan is for her to drop into my class next week, 2 or 3 times, and pretend to ask me about something. The point being to gauge if the student's demeanor changes but also to give me a sanity check too. Make sure I'm not imagining the situation as worse than it really is. Frankly, I hope the student is just oblivious because I'd rather not deal with the idea that she could be doing this on purpose. Update. Student flashing her underwear. On purpose. HR less than no help. Update 1. https www.reddit.com/r/professors/comments/x99ozma/update student flashing her underwear on purpose/ UDM medium equals Android app and UDM source equals share. First, to everyone telling me, just don't look, that is exactly what I'm doing. I tried to make that clear in my last post, but I feel like it bears repeating. The issue was not, how do I avoid looking? I've got that mostly handled. The issue is how do I deal with a student that is behaving in a now overtly sexual manner towards me in a situation where I'm likely to be the one in trouble if I call it out. So, I have a minor update. I don't think there is any, maybe, left about this issue. I am 100% sure that this is on purpose. I mentioned previously that a female colleague of mine was planning to drop by next week to see if The student's behavior changed in the presence of an additional person. This meant that I would still be on my own, so to speak, for the second day of the bi-weekly class. Today, I settled into the lecturer's desk and moved the screen into position. The student in question arrived and took her usual spot. BTW. Someone suggested that I create an assigned seating chart. A good idea. But this is a computer lab with open seating for students who wish to use the lab outside of class time, and even though they should not rely on it, many students leave files on the computers they regularly use. So this would likely create more issues and eat into my class time for people to retrieve their files. Before class started, she asked me to take a look at her progress on an assignment. Not an unreasonable request, so I had to get up and approach. As soon as I got near, she turned toward me and did that foot on the chair thing. I tried to do what I guess you could describe as a power move, and turned my head toward the screen immediately, though I couldn't help but catch a reflexive glimpse. Her progress on the assignment was good, and I stated so and went back to my desk. I don't really know women's underwear styles, but after describing what I briefly saw to my female colleague, she stated that it sounded like a T-front string, and that there is no way she isn't aware of what she's doing. After discussing this with her, we both came to the conclusion that this is definitely an escalation of the student's behavior, and so I've documented the interaction, minus describing the student's underwear, as it only give them an excuse to ignore the real issue, and sent it into HR. I also asked in the email whether this constituted sexual harassment and if I should file anything further. I don't expect them to do anything, but at least I'm covering my ass and have now put the onus upon them to go on the record either telling to continue doing nothing, which puts them in the position of having ignored the situation, or stepping in and speaking to this student themselves. Hopefully, HR will just do their damn job and I can go back to just focusing on my job. I think this student has a weird kink and OOP has clearly not consented. Yikes. Not gonna lie. As a lady who's had my vagina my whole life, really, genitals in general, I think I am naturally hyper aware of my underwear being exposed with a skirt on. And I'm pretty certain most people with skirts on are hyper aware as well. I'm pretty certain if it's happening, especially if it's happening a lot, then it's probably on purpose. That HR representative is a complete moron and is putting that university at risk of a hostile work environment lawsuit. Pro tip: when someone complains about sexual harassment, just ignore it, is the wrong answer. Definitely sexual harassment, and the sad thing is that OOP can't mention it to the student without making the situation worse. It'd be great if someone else, maybe a female student or colleague, could see this happening and say something on his behalf, but I doubt the perpetrator would be dumb enough to flash someone who could call her out. I co-taught a music class for adults a long time ago at a camp, and there was a guy sitting on a bench with wide knees, necessary for this particular rhythm instrument, wearing shorts with his entire scrotum hanging out one leg and getting strangled by the crotch of the shorts. The thing was nearly purple. He sat that way for the entire hour of the class and never seemed to notice that his balls were being slowly pinched off. The other instructor and I were the only ones who could see, but the guy never made any inappropriate eye contact with either of us, and only looked up when it was thoroughly normal to do so. To this day, I have no idea what to make of that. I'm disgusted by the few commenters in the original threads that are implying or saying Op is a prude, or worse, that he's enjoying it, and these posts are stealth bragging. WTF is wrong with some people. He should just unplug her computer and put a broken sign on it. It could be completely accidental, but by 1822 I'd hope someone would know skirts show underwear when not sitting with legs together or crossed. You can barely call a T-front GSTING underwear if that's what she's wearing. NSFW. I feel for this man. He needs to tell her to take her feet off the chairs. He can even announce it to the whole class and make a class rule, as he could say other students or even the cleaners have complained about dirty chairs. Then if she does it again, I would loudly tell her to remove her feet and state how unhygienic and rude it is to other students. Maybe having the whole class look over at what she is doing will take the thrill out of it for her. It also means you can tell her off, even if it's not for the flashing. Edit typo. I feel bamboozled. This said update 1 and I kept reading expecting the update 2 or final update. I mean, technically it is update 1, but you know what I mean. It creates an expectation of a sequel. Oop needs to tape some poster board or plastic tablecloths across the front line of desks, tables. I tend to sit anyhow, but I'd be mortified if my underwear or my nether parts were on show. I see a number of possibilities for Oop. 1. Do exactly what he's done, reporting it to HR in writing and leaving it in their hands. Point 2. Approach HP with a sexual harassment complaint, this student being the harasser of Oop. Let them know this complaint will be filed formally if HR doesn't step in to correct the situation. Point 3. Confront the student in front of witnesses with a sexual harassment complaint against her if she continues her exhibitionist behavior. I think Oop should ask his female colleague he's been talking to confront the girl on her behavior. Even use an excuse like another student seeing what she'd been doing in class to not only make her stop but also to make it clear that other people are aware of what she'd been doing in Oop's class, so she can't continue without face serious consequences. Because this needs to be nip in the bud right now, since HR is not doing their D@MN job. As a woman, this is 100% intentional. The student needs to be called out by some of her peers. I doubt HR will do anything, though. Hope they do. It sounds like a very immature student, dumb enough to think what she does is attractive. Oop is in a very difficult spot, because anything he may say to her, the class, about this situation is walking on very thin ice. A female professor might make a general observation to the class that the desks have no screening underneath or something similar, and to be mindful of how they sit. And if she keeps doing that, after documenting it via email to her, I'd make more observations like, guys, remember these desks have no lower partition. Watch how you're sitting. You wouldn't want to flash your colleagues. Anyway, it's also true that it's easier to know what to do when you are not involved. As a male teacher, I check constantly before every class to see if the fly isn't open. And I always use jeans and never shorts of anything less than full pants. And I don't initiate physical contact with students, especially female ones. Maybe a bit of excessive, but with cell phones everywhere, it's easy to someone take a pic out of context and ruin my life.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epic Ericast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.